You think that you can earn your worth. You think that you can earn your happiness. You think that you can become someone worthy enough to finally be satisfied and to finally take a break, when in reality, you need to do that now.
Now I'm really tapping into like, okay, like I need to create a whole new way of like working and showing up that feels good to me.
Going off on threads is not
Mm-hmm.
helping everyone. Being a people pleaser does not help everyone. And you can help more people by filling up your cup and giving from overflow than trying to give them breadcrumbs.
Spiritual things, astrology, tarot, these are all things that have been kind of like demonized over the years that I feel like can really help women tap into their divine feminine.
It is going to take the divine feminine rising, reclaiming her power, remembering herself. And that's what's happening right now. It is really in just understanding of like how intuition is demonized, following your body is demonized, your own sexual pleasure, your womb, your yoni, your period is demonized. Like all of the things that are seen as bad are inherently the feminine.
Welcome to Let's Just Be Real with me, your host, Marissa Tong. I'm a multi-passionate creative entrepreneur who's on a journey to create my dream life in a world where adulting just gets too real sometimes. On this podcast, we talk about all things beyond surface level to leave you feeling inspired to think bigger, unapologetically prioritize your self-care, and discover your true, authentic self. Think of me as your unfiltered but wise auntie who just wants the best for all of us. So grab your journal or maybe a glass of wine and let's get real. Hey, Valerrie, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm so happy to connect with you. You were one of the first people that I have kind of connected with in San Diego since I've been here, and a fellow Scorpio, which I love. I always find my Scorpio women. So I'm excited to chat with you. Can you tell the people just a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, what your purpose is?
Yeah, so I'm Valerrie Joann. I call myself a goddess, energy coach, and womb practitioner. Basically, the whole premise is to help, especially like women of color, really embodying their divine feminine energy and not in a place of necessarily polarity, but in a place of power and like true divine feminine essence that is powerful, it's loud, it's there, it's seen, it's heard, and in a way that just allows them to like feel radiant and confident and no longer expect anything outside of themselves to give them what they already have within.
I love that. And how long have you been in this field or interested in studying divine feminine energy? When did you first like get a spark?
Yeah, this question's honestly really funny. So I have been coaching for about 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years. But in the beginning, I honestly hated divine feminine energy. Like, I hated it so much because it just felt very like all I could find online was just like divine feminine in a way of like polarity and like being submissive to your husband and like just being a housewife. And those labels never resonated with me, like ever. And so it felt so disconnected. I was also very hardcore feminist at the time, but it's interesting because even when I look back on my journey, I can see the divine feminine like had like slivers like inserting into my business as I was like moving through different phases. Like I started as like a tarot and Reiki practitioner, then I switched to like intuitive coaching, and then I moved into like dream self, and then finally I landed into like pleasure, and then finally I landed into goddess self. And I was like, oh, like I'm supposed to teach the divine feminine. Like it was there all along. I just didn't want to see it because I didn't realize that there was a divine feminine way that just wasn't just polarity or just being a submissive woman. And it was very like scary to be like, oh, like there's this whole other side to divine femininity, to goddess energy. And it's funny because as soon as like I said yes to spirit, I was like, okay, let's just do it. Like all of a sudden, like I found so many other creators that like teach on it too. And I was like, oh, like I just wasn't like I wasn't a match to it because I wasn't allowing it in. So I couldn't find it. And then as soon as I opened to it, I was like, oh, other people are doing this too. Okay. Like this isn't just me being crazy. Like this is a thing.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So for anyone who maybe they're in the place that you were in of not being super tapped in or interested or tuned in and you're just like, oh, whatever. I keep hearing this word like divine, divine, feminine,
Yeah.
whatever. How would you even explain what that energy looks and feels like? Like, what are some ways that we can start to, I guess, tap into that energy?
Yeah. And looking back, I think a big part of it was because I internally, like subconsciously, just thought the feminine was weaker. Like I was drinking the patriarchal Kool-Aid of just like, I like feminine is weaker. I need to be strong. I need to be tough. I need to be Miss Independent. I need to have work all the time. I need to be like in this hyper masculine and never depend on a man. And I think it's just super like complete opposite. And unconsciously it was just very much this belief of like the feminine is weaker and I don't want to be weak. I want to be strong. And so to be like in your femininity, it feels almost like you're gonna like be less strong. You're not gonna get what you want. I'm not gonna be able to like grow my business. I'm not gonna be like super out there and like making a lot of money and doing the things that I saw for myself. And it wasn't until like I reached a burnout point within like my what I used to be doing in like college and even in like relationships where I was like, there has to be a better way. Like I am like suffocating, like I'm drowning, like this isn't fun. And that's what led me onto my journey of like pleasure and like pleasure coaching. And pleasure was like my gateway into divine femininity because pleasure is femininity. Like the woman with our like yonis, with our vaginas. I don't know if I can say how
Oh, girl,
censored this
yeah.
is.
Hey,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah. Because we are the only ones with like a part of our body that is purely for pleasure. Men do not have a part of their body that is purely for pleasure. Like we are the only ones. Like women are made for pleasure. We're literally designed for pleasure. And
Hmm.
so it was just like this big reawakening as I was like, oh, like I don't have to suffer to be successful. I don't have to overwork to get what I want. I don't have to put my joy on the back burner
Hmm.
and like be in this miserable place to earn success. I get to be in my pleasure. I get to lean into the things that I love
Hmm.
and make more money than before. And that's the feminine frequency. It's a difference between the patriarchal masculine identity of what work and money and earning and stuff that is versus a feminine where you just exist and you're already worthy of it. Like you don't have to do anything. You just need to be the vibrational match to receive it. Yes, there's still work to do. It still takes effort, but it's not in the same way that we were taught growing up and that we were taught from a masculine, patriarchal, colonialism, religious way.
Hmm. That makes so much sense. And I'm currently in that phase of I've hit the burnout. I'm like, now, this year is me coming back to myself and coming back to my feminine and unlearning, like you said, unlearning all of that programming of, okay, you got to work, 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 show up this way, do this, be seen all the time, do for others, always be like outputting, outputting, outputting. And now I'm really tapping into like, okay, like I need to create a whole new way of like working and showing up that feels good to me and also allows me to receive. I think I've had not issues with receiving. I've always been someone that has been open to receiving, but I think there's always been like this kind of like connection with like, okay, I'm gonna receive, but what also can I give, right? It's always like a give and take. Like if I give this, I'll get this. It's always like conditional. I think as women, we're always programmed to receive conditional love. And I think part of that divine feminine is like learning how to receive the unconditional and be open to, like you said, just having things come to us because we're already worthy. Like we don't have to show up and do the most. So I think a lot of women can probably relate to where you were at or where I'm currently at. Or there's some women right now who are probably like, I'm stuck in my masculine and I have no idea like how to even get out. Maybe they are, single women taking care of themselves. They have no one to like take care or help them or support them. Maybe they're a single mom. So like what's some advice? Like how can we get these women to step out of that masculine energy a little bit and just trust more?
Yeah, so this is a really great question. And it speaks to the heart of what society conditioned women to become, which is super sacrificial. Like almost in the lens too, if you want to get into like a lot of religious programming, like that sacrifice is like the ultimate form of love, right? That Jesus sacrificed his life for us on the cross. And that's now we're kind of always earning that love. We're trying to earn that sacrifice to feel worthy of it. And I grew up Catholic, and while I don't practice Catholicism, I still relate a lot to Jesus, Yeshua, the practices, the principles, Mary Magdalene, because it is the feminine principles. He was also in like divine union with Mary Magdalene with the divine feminine. It wasn't this disconnection of divine masculine only, it was both, but it was hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very like interesting. And within saying that is like Jesus didn't die on the cross for us to earn his sacrifice. He already saw that we were worthy. Like if you want to go off that story, like he knew that we were worthy and deserving of it. He did that to start like the revolution of us being like divine on earth, like God on earth, right? And so it's like we think that we have to earn the sacrifice, and women, especially like moms, you're taught to like sacrifice your entire life for your kid. Like you don't get to have your dreams anymore, you don't get to have free time, you just need to overwork and just do everything for your kids and don't even think about yourself. And this is such an ingrained belief that if you like look on like moms who like post on like social media and they're just like having a time with their life and their kids are at home, like you'll see other moms commenting, where are your kids? Like you're not being a good mom. They're just so conditioned to not be in their own light and their feminine and their pleasure. And as someone whose mom did that too, like my mom sacrificed everything for me so I can go to college, so I can get like a good job. And that's where I was heading. I was going to be a diplomat. I had 2 degrees by like 21. Yeah. It was a lot. And I was doing all the work. And I got to this point where I was just like, I don't even want to do this, but like I feel like I have to because I have to make my mother's sacrifice like worthy. Like I have to help her sacrifice mean something. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything if I'm not continuing this path, if I'm not going to help her, if I'm not going to do the things that she expects of me, right? Like I didn't want to disappoint her.
Mm.
And it was I ended up getting pregnant my last year in college, which was like a huge disappointment break, and it like allowed me to even break free from the disappointment because I already disappointed her so much. I might as well just keep going.
Right.
And like so okay. And I did finish college right before I gave birth, like a couple weeks before I gave birth. I turned in my last final. But it's interesting because when I see her, and if you talk to a lot of people, or even if you reflect on like your own journey with your mother, like kids want to watch their moms do something for themselves.
Yeah.
Like they get frustrated when their mom is constantly cleaning and can't relax. So like just sit down. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
like it's the kids want to see their mom having fun, being happy. Like it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know that like kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. And if
Mm.
I'm going to be a leader for my own kids, like I don't want them to think that it's all about self-sacrifice, that they can't follow their dreams after they have kids, that after they have kids that their life is over, that they can't rely on support and all this stuff. Like I need to be a living embodiment of what I want for my kids. And
Yeah.
so that means that I'm taking the time away from them, that I'm doing things that light me up, that I meditate in front of them, that I'm doing yoga in front of them, that I'm working out in front of them, that I'm journaling with them, like that I include them into my life rather than always trying to meet them in theirs. And
Yeah.
that is like the biggest difference. People think that like kids don't want to be involved in like adult things, but they love it. Like they like feel so adult and happy and fun. And I say that because like your pleasure, the things that light you up, is actually bringing you closer to feeling whole and connected to your kids. And they want to see you happy. Like they genuinely do.
Yeah.
And it's hard at first, but I think like one of the best ways to like start this process is to just get rid of the belief that your sacrifice and you being so like underappreciated or even like going off on threads is not
Mm-hmm.
helping everyone. Being a people pleaser does not help everyone. And you can help more people by filling up your cup and giving from overflow than trying to give them breadcrumbs.
So true. You said so many good things
Yeah.
just now. Like, I'm like, let me
I
just
talked a
process.
lot.
Let me process. But no, honestly, like, that's so true. And I can relate it back to my relationship with my mom. And at some point, she was a stay-at-home mom with me, but she was so consistent and just like serious about her workout routine. Like we had our basement set up and she had like all her weights down there. We used to do like these videotapes together. She used to invite her friends over to work out with her. And that's honestly how I even adapted a physical lifestyle. It was from my mom, seeing her,
Mhm.
like she had bought me like 1 and 2 pound weights when I was like 4 years old. And I was just mocking everything that I saw her do. And it created this like one in desire in myself to like take care of myself and like, oh, this is important to my mom, so it must be important for me to move my body. And now that's where my life has taken me, like i
Yeah.
i lead women how to move and to work out and all that. So I think, yeah, it's really important for your kids to see you happy and to see you doing things that you actually value, so that they can also find what they value and understand that like life is not just about like work, go, showing up, pleasing, sacrificing. Like that's literally how people get depressed and they lose a sense of themselves. And then it's like it takes so much work and reversing, to get back to yourself and understanding who you are and why you're even here. Are you ready to dance, sweat, and level up your confidence, all from the comfort of your own home? Well, guess what, baddie? Our online dance and fitness classes are officially live. This means no matter where you are in the world, you can tap into our signature energy, real vibes only. As a member, you get 24/7 access to dance tutorials, full body workouts, stretch sessions, and our growing library of most requested combos. We have over 100 plus videos on demand, so you can do them whenever you want. Oh, and it gets better. Every membership includes a full Rhythm and Pumps Heels Fundamentals course with 10 powerful modules designed to help you feel 10 times more confident dancing in heels or without. So if you're ready to build your skill, your strength, your self-love, your confidence, get into our on-demand programs and memberships. We have 2 memberships available, and you can choose them based on your budget or based on your current goals. You can join Rhythm and Pumps, which starts at only $19.99 a month. This is for the girl who's trying to get into her heels bag, okay? 24/7 access to all of our heels combos, all of our training modules, and choreo sessions. Again, that Fundamentals 101 course is going to be key to starting your heels journey, girl. You also get access to our community group online, so you can hype each other up. You can get notified when we drop new tutorials and all that good stuff. Plus, you're going to get flexibility in core training. Our second membership is our Real Rhythm Unlimited membership. Now, this is our most popular, okay? It is premium and it's only $10 more than Rhythm and Pumps. You get all access training, so workouts on demand with or without weights. You get access to various dance classes and choreo tutorials, including hip hop, heels, and commercial pop, guided meditations with myself, affirmations, all that mindset work that you need to feel your best from the inside to the out. And you also get access to our online community and exclusive live streams every single month. So if this sounds like something you're trying to get into, I invite you to check out our online memberships by heading over to www.realrhythmdanceandfitness.com and check out the special promo code in the show notes for Let's Just Be Real podcast listeners only. You're welcome, and I'll see you online. So, what are some things that you do personally to fill your cup and to really connect with your feminine energy?
Yeah, and I did want to first say too, like a lot of people who are like professionals, like whether they're professional athletes, professional chefs, like who are really good, if you listen to their stories, it's because their parents or grandparents or like aunt or uncle brought them with their own value system. Like it's the same story with you. Like they saw their mom working out, so they're like, oh, like I want to do this too. Like that's where like passion stems from. Like you get it from being a kid and like from having some interest in watching the people around you find it. Because what I say is like pleasure is contagious. The more you're in your light and in your pleasure, like everyone else around you is going to be better off. Like it is selfless to be in your pleasure, like 100%. And I know it feels selfish, especially as you're starting off the journey, but it is selfless. And in answering your question of what do I do, I personally like I love video games. I've always have since I was a little kid. So I love being on like my Switch and like having like witchy games or like for me it's also like spiritual stuff and like meditating, channeling, um just being with like my own self, maybe pulling some cards. I also like enjoy like journaling or coloring and like just doing little things. Like those are the physical things and they act as like a reset for me or even like a okay, like let me calm down. I also like watching movies and like shows and I just love being in slowness and like reading is like one of my favorite hobbies. I have like my Kindle right there. And I just love it. And there's also like other ways too of like going out to get a coffee or like making my own coffee or like I think the biggest thing is to not separate pleasure from your life, but rather like romanticize your life. Like make everything pleasure. So like if you don't like one thing I hate doing is like I absolutely hate editing my podcast. Like I hate editing audio so much. Like I hate it. So to make it more pleasurable, I just started watching a show while I edit it. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch a show and I just enjoy the time. You could also like light a candle or like just start adding more pleasure into things that you don't like. Like what can you add? Like how can you make it more fun? Like is it getting a nice scented candle? Is it getting a cool drink while you do this task that you only drink when you do this task? Is it watching a show while you're doing something? Because once you start actively enjoying all of life, like all parts of it, you realize how much of like the human experience is is like the whole point. Like it is like
Right.
the only moment you have is right now. And the
Mm-hmm.
more you lean into your presence and the more you lean into the pleasure of being exactly where you are, the more your pleasure just expands because you're focusing on it, right? Like in basic manifestation, what you focus on expands. And so the more you focus on being where you are, on the pleasure of being where you are, the more you receive more pleasure and other people receive it too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So many good points. So, on the topic of pleasure, right? For some people, that might just sound like sexual or sensual.
Mm-hmm.
Like for some people, they might feel like, oh, well, I don't have a partner, to turn me on, or I'm not comfortable pleasing myself. Like for some people, when they hear pleasure, they're thinking of it in terms like that, where I think that's still a part of pleasure, right? So when we
Mm-hmm.
talk about like, ways to pleasure ourselves or even touching ourselves in a way, maybe like massage, massaging ourselves, massaging our feet, massaging our hands, our neck, our shoulders. Those are some things that I feel like sometimes women are disconnected to as well. Teaching dance classes too, I noticed that with some women when they're newer to dance, they're uncomfortable like touching themselves or doing certain movements that might seem like sensual or sexual or deemed provocative to society. And I think it's important for us to like encourage women that it's okay. Like it's your body, at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And I think that also comes along with women tapping into the feminine part of like, it's okay. Like you can receive, like it's not a bad thing, but that also goes back to religion.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we can pivot a little bit into that topic of religion because girl. Like it's a lot, me personally, I haven't talked too much on my podcast about like my upbringing, but I grew up Jehovah's Witness, which is like super strict by the Bible. If it's not in the Bible, you're not doing it. Like there's just so many rules, right? And some of those rules included like there's no talk of sex, there's no talk of being sensual, there's no talk of pleasure. You're doing things again to have this image, right, of being in the image of God or in the image of Jesus, like needing to always show up perfect, or always needing to preach or not engaging in things that are immoral. So when we talk about goddess energy and even spiritual things, astrology, tarot, these are all things that have been kind of like demonized over the years that I feel like can really help women tap into their divine feminine. But there's been like these blocks. I feel like a lot of women have blocks, or they're just like so programmed to believe like these things are bad. I can't get involved with them. They're going to invoke spirits, negative spirits, demons into my home or whatever. So for the women who are like, they have that craving, they have that desire to maybe learn more, maybe they are like in that witchy, they have a natural witchy spirit, which I believe all women are witches. Like,
Yeah.
you know but maybe they're just like they still are holding on to that programming of like I can't, like I can't do this, I can't burn sage, I can't touch myself, I can't. How do we get them to like snap out of it?
Yeah. I think the thing that helps me the most, but I will say that like I am just a very intellectual person. So like for me, knowledge is just so pivotal for this. Like the more I understand like the way the world works, why things came to be, like the more just things start clicking for me. You could say it's because I'm like neurospicy and that's what it's all like all the webs are just coming together.
Hmm.
But it has helped me so much. Like even I'll give a few examples of like learning that the whole thing with prostitutes actually stemmed with in the beginning, there was goddess temples and the priestesses of these temples would perform sex magic that would actively heal and help the men or women who would come and looking for healing, who would look for like help, like it was a part of the practice, and that got demonized into prostitution, and now there's like a whole other aspect to prostitution that's also troubling as well. And then even the word virgin, like it doesn't mean like now it means like we don't have sex, but it literally means of themselves. So it just
Mm,
meant that they weren't married.
mm,
And so when you hear Virgin Mary, it doesn't mean that she didn't have sex. It means that she just wasn't married.
mm-hmm,
So it was an unmarried sexual woman giving birth to Christ.
mm,
Like, and that goes totally against the whole Catholicism Christian narrative
right.
of being unmarried, of having unmarital sex. Even the, I can't remember their names right now. I think it was like the virgins. There was like a group of women in the Bible who were like labeled as like virgins,
Mm,
but they were virgins, as in they weren't married, but they were having a lot of sex with a lot of men. Like, and that's in the Bible, but we've changed a lot of words in the Bible to fit a narrative or agenda. And I like reading the Bible. I think there's so much good insight and history in it. But if you take stuff out of context, or if you don't know the full context or the full story, or if you aren't fully aware of the changes, it can be a little bit more harmful, right? And that's how we see it, because it's like there's just so many more stories. Like there's so like even Mary Magdalene, like she was performing her own sex magic with Jesus Christ, like that they were together. That's her magic. It was through the goddess Isis lineage. And there's just all these like different stories, right? And like the more you learn about it and deconstruct it, and the more you realize that the things that are deemed as demonic, and even the word demon, it stems from daemon, which just means like animal spirits and all this stuff. Like the more you realize like how much it is all centered around the demonization of women.
mm,
Like it's all stems from what women are good at, even sexual lust, and like the fact that even in like the Bible it's all about like man's pleasure. Not even the Bible, but the interpretation from Christian churches is
yeah.
like, oh, you need to like perform for your man, you need to be there for your man. But
Yes.
it's like, who is the one creating life?
Yes.
Who created life?
Yeah.
God, right? So why are we why are women under men? And like I don't think that women should be over men either. Like that's not my point whatsoever. It's that we both have inherent differences, but our differences as women have been demonized or made as less than or weaker because we are more emotional. Like that is a fact. Like we are created for different things. We are not as strong. Like there's different things that we cannot physically do, or at least a majority cannot, but that doesn't make us weaker. It doesn't make us less than, but we've associated to mean that. But we're inherently equal. It's the yin and yang. Like it's the same thing. It's just in a different font. And when we learn to compliment each other rather than like demonize each other, like that's when we're going to reach divine union. And it is going to take the divine feminine rising, right? Reclaiming her power, remembering herself. And that's what's happening right now. And it is really in just understanding of like how intuition is demonized, following your body is demonized, your own sexual pleasure, being in your body, your womb, your yoni, your period is demonized. Like all of the things that are seen as bad are inherently the feminine side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ugh. How long do you think it's gonna take for us to find that divine union? Because I'm just like, I'm looking around like, I don't know what's happening. I feel like, I mean, intuitively I know what's happening, but I also feel like men are adapting this feminine energy as well. And we're seeing more men in that feminine of wanting to either be taken care of or not wanting to step into that masculine role of providing, protecting, even nurturing. You know, men can be nurturers as well. But I think right now we're seeing more men. I'm not going to say all, but we're seeing more men. I don't know if it's that they're feeling intimidated by women or they're seeing this pivotal moment where women are, you know, they are stepping into their power, they're making more money, they're showing up, they're saying no to sex, you know, they're holding out, they are setting standards. I don't know if it's that. I've heard different things. Like I've heard that men are also having less testosterone. I don't know if that's like facts, but I feel intuitively like men are kind of in that feminine as well.
Yeah, I totally see it too in like certain aspects and even in like some of those bros podcasts where they like are trying to like be hyper masculine, but then in certain ways they're kind of like leaning into their feminine energy, which is
Hmm.
just it's ironic in certain ways and it kind of makes me laugh when I look at it. But
Hmm.
what I see, so with the whole feminine and again in the whole demonization, is a big part of feminine energy is the darkness, is the shadow, is the unseen, right? And in order to have a revolution or in order to like create this tidal wave of change, we have to really uncover what has been in the shadows. And we have to really get comfortable about what we've been pretending not to see. And so right now it's this big shadow opening, and I'm getting like chills as I say this, where we're just kind of being seen what we've been neglecting. And I also kind of see it as like the feminine really coming forward so then we can like kind of find that calibration. And I don't think that a lot of like divine feminine teachers too, they tend to teach about like matriarchy and we need to go back to the matriarchy and whatever. But my opinion on that is like we're not going back to the matriarchy because the matriarchy also wasn't like it was helpful for everyone, but it didn't allow men to be fully in their own energy power, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And in a healthy way.
Right.
If you see it and if you notice even patterns in your own life, there's always a pendulum swing. And so it was in the matriarchy is how a lot of our own culture started. And then it shifted to patriarchy. And now we're going to be kind of coming back into that middle of the divine union where we're actually being appreciated for each other's gifts. We're creating societies that actually allow that like unification and the balance and the harmony between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And right now it's just kind of this like purge. And
Yeah.
that's why everything feels uncomfortable. That's why everybody's kind of like, what the hell? And that's also, I even feel like why a lot of men are just kind of like freaking out because they're like, holy shit, like, what are we going to do? And it's like, not that we're going to go back into the matriarchy, but I think right now we're really being called to create something new. And there are like blueprints and like past civilizations, but there's also, even within those past civilizations, like Egypt is a good one where they actually valued both the feminine and the masculine in everyday life. Like women were the ones that held property, they were the ones that would like carry it on to their kids. They had like different roles in society too. So like women could be business owners and stuff like during that time, but they couldn't necessarily like be in politics. So there was still like caps. And I think right now we're coming to this place where it's like, it doesn't matter if you're a woman, man, or whatever. Like you can do what you want. Like it's about your own pleasure. It's not necessarily about what's between your legs or like what you identify as. It's about you doing what lights you up and being in that power. And it's almost like we had to kind of like go into the patriarchy and kind of like have those feminism waves so that way women could really be like, we can really do anything we want to do. Like nothing is stopping us. Like I can be a politician if I want. I could do whatever I want to do. I could be professional sport, whatever. Like there's just no more limits. Like we've proved that we can do it all. So it's like, but we don't want to do it all. So like let's figure out what we do want to do and allow the freedom to do what you want to do, right? Like even men can be nurturers, men can be nurses, like all these like labels of like what men or women should do. It's less important now as we're like moving into this like new society that like hasn't fully been on earth, at least from my understanding, but I haven't really channeled on that yet. But it's just this divine union that's coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I think I'm seeing more women. Like I follow a lot of women who are kind of like in this boss babe era. And I definitely was in it. Like I have a chain that says boss. It was a gift, but
Yeah.
just like at some point, I want to say like between maybe like mid 90s, early 2000s up until like probably 2020, like I feel like there was this hyper focus on women like stepping up, being bosses, owning your own, starting your own business, not letting men be the leader and tell you what to do and all that. And I think that's great. But I think it also has done us a disservice because now we're like super burnt out. We realize that like this is not sustainable to live this way. And we do need men. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that there ever needs to be like this narrative that we don't need men. I think that was something for a while. It's like, men ain't shit. Like, we don't need you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, we do. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like I want a man. Like,
Yeah.
like, so for the women now who are like, they've been doing this for so long and they've been putting in this work and they've been sacrificing their own pleasure and happiness for the sake of having something to show for. And now it's like, damn, like, I don't even want to work, 40 hours a week. Like, I just want to take 2 days to go sit at the beach with my son,
Yeah.
or I want to go to a spa day, instead of like working today. And we're seeing more women tap into that energy unapologetically, and it's beautiful and I love it. But I think that there for sure needs to be a balance. Like, we need to have our own yin and yang of like, okay, yes, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm focused on. I'm working on. But also, like, I do need to chill. I do need to rest. I do need to take a step back. I do need to tap more into like that playful, childlike energy to replenish myself so that when I do show up in these spaces where I am that boss or leader, I can have my cup filled. Okay, before we get too real into this conversation, I want to interrupt by inviting you to a very special event happening in 2026. I'm so excited to announce the Soul and Senses retreat in Bali, Indonesia. If you've been craving a reset, the kind that nourishes your body, calms your mind, and reconnects you to your purpose, then let me personally invite you to my retreat, Soul and Senses in Bali, happening April 7th to the 13th in 2026. We'll spend 6 nights in 2 luxury hotels in Seminyak, which is a beautiful, lively beach city. And then we'll spend 3 nights in Ubud, which is the jungle. It's spiritual, it's sacred, it's the place where you can really connect with your soul. We'll be surrounded by palm trees, soul-aligned women, and the most beautiful energy that you've ever felt. You'll experience dance, somatic movement, deep stretching on a daily basis, healing and grounding practices, jungle excursions and private cultural tours, meditations, journaling workshops, and spiritual connection. There are plenty of nights where you can have fun and plenty of nights to also unplug. If you're feeling like, low key and you don't feel like going out, that's okay too. Our retreats are meant to help you follow your intuition and really give your body what it's craving at the time. It's safe, it's sacred, and it's exactly what you didn't know you needed. Spots are limited for this retreat and it's going to sell out. So if you're ready to reconnect with yourself in paradise, definitely make sure you go to our website. It's linked in the show notes. Or you can send me a DM saying Bali on Instagram and I'll send you the link to register. This is not just a vacation, it's a soul shifting experience. So if you're ready to step into the next version of yourself and connect with yourself on a deeper level while being in one of the most beautiful places on earth, then I invite you to book today and I'll see you there. So for you, you're someone who's a coach as well, and you lead women into that energy. Do you see women who are kind of like they've been in that hyper masculine or doing, and now they're like they don't want to do anything, or maybe they're just like I don't even want to like do that business or that job. Maybe they're pivoting completely out of it, or maybe they want someone to take care of them. Like, are you seeing more of that? Are you seeing a balance of women just wanting maybe both.
Yeah. So I first want to say too, like the whole like boss narrative, I think that's what led to the shadow of like a lot of these like homemakers coming on social media. Like I think
Mm,
it's almost like the divine rebellion of that like hyper boss. And now it's like, oh, like now let's be homemakers, like submit to your man and do all this stuff. And that's the shadow of it, right? And so
mm,
it's like interesting because it's like we can even see on a social cultural level like these waves that are coming. It's interesting because I still believe in polarity, but again, like it's not necessarily about because you're a man you have this role, because you're a woman you have this role. Like what if you're gay? Like it doesn't make sense. So it's
yeah.
like it's more like what do you want? What feels good to you? What brings you pleasure? So that is actually my niche. I intentionally work with women who are highly successful, highly intellectual, who are basically in this place where it's like they've done the inner work, like they're really good at manifestation, their businesses are booming, they on the outside like they look like they have it all, like they really do. But then they come to me and they're like, Valerrie, I'm like so burnt out, or like they're like, I am just like running on fumes, or like they understand what they need to do but they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like this like block, like they're doing the inner work, or they're thinking about their emotions but they're not actually feeling them. And that's like the biggest thing I teach, like the amount of freedom I give my clients from purely teaching them how to feel their emotions is insane. Like it is like the number one thing and the number one reason why a lot of highly successful women like feel like stagnant or burnt out, or like, and it's also the lie that we've been told too, like once you make X amount of money, once you have this, and like even in like hold that boss babe, hyper individual, don't depend on a man era, which is highly prevalent in women of color cultures,
Yeah.
especially,
Yeah.
which is ironic because they're also at the same time more likely to be like, where's your husband? Like, why aren't you married yet? And so it's like conflicting narratives.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why like my niche tends to be with like women of color, because they're basically like taught to be overworking, and that once you reach a certain amount of money and have stability, then everything in your life will be perfect. But the thing that I also teach, I don't know if you've ever heard of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes, but I don't remember what that looked like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like one thing I learned when I was getting my degree in IR, and it like stuck with me. And so basically Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's like a triangle, and it's basically like at the bottom you have your security needs, and then it kind of goes up to like I forgot the immediate one. I think it's like love, and then it's like self-actualization and stuff. I don't remember the exact ones, but I remember this point. And at the bottom it's the security needs. So it's stuff like shelter, food, water, like the basic needs for survival.
Yeah.
And our parents, especially for women of color, our parents didn't have those needs met.
Mm,
They didn't have stable food, stable housing, stable water. Like they had to actively work for that.
yeah.
And so, because of that, they believe that as long as their kids have those basic things, as long as they strive for stability in terms of finances to have the shelter, food, and water, that they will be happy and satisfied. And that's why you also see parents teaching their kids. But a lot of times, these parents, they did a great job that their kids had shelter, food, and water pretty stable, right? And because they had it stable, they didn't have to worry about that. Because the whole thing with Maslow's hierarchy of needs is if you are basically worried about your own survival, you're not going to give a shit what anyone feels. You're not going to care about you feeling sad because you have to work at this job. You're just thinking, I need to work so I can eat tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter if I like it or not. I just have to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but because these kids grew up with most of their basic needs met, they went up the triangle to emotional needs. And now all of a sudden, you see these kids being like, you didn't play with me. You were never there. You didn't give me like my emotional satisfaction. Like, I didn't get my emotional needs met. Like, you just invalidated all my feelings. But it's simply because our parents are still stuck in survival mode that they're like, why does that even matter? I gave you food and shelter over your head. You should just be grateful. But it's because to them, that's all they wished for as a kid. That's all they wanted. And so they provided for you what you wanted, but you didn't get what you wanted because you were higher up the psychological needs, right? And so that's why women feel cheated, especially women of color, because they met the needs of those physical security needs, but they're like, I'm not happy. Like they were told their whole lives, as long as you have shelter, as long as you have food, as long as you have a stable job, you will be happy. And then they get those things and they're like, I'm not happy.
Mm-hmm.
But what these women do, because they're highly successful and because they believe that their worth and their happiness is tied to what they achieve, they just try to achieve more.
Mm,
They are like, okay, 10K months didn't make me happy. Let's do 20K months. Okay, 100K, like whatever. Like, and it just keeps going, going, and going until they reach this point where they're just like, okay, like I've achieved it all. What do I do now? Like, why am I still not happy? Like, they're like, Valerie, I feel cheated. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, that's because you're looking for validation outside of yourself. You
mm-hmm.
think that you can earn your worth. You think that you can earn your happiness. You think that you can become someone worthy enough to finally be satisfied and to finally take a break. When in reality, you need to do that now. Like, you need to tap into your pleasure now. You need to come back to yourself now. You need to find the worthiness and the enoughness within yourself. And this is why, like, I also don't agree with the fact that, like, oh, once you feel worthy, you're going to get what you want. Because a lot of like my clients and like the people who I work with and see, like, they have what they want, but they don't have the happiness. Like, they don't have the pleasure. And it's about cultivating it no matter what stage you are in, to the point where you don't need that thing outside of yourself. It just gets to be a bonus.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, we see that for sure, like with a lot of women nowadays. And I think it is true. Like our parents' generation, they grew up with, yeah, I'm paying for you to have a roof over your head. Like that's enough, right? And then
Yeah.
we've adapted that work ethic. That's something I was writing about in my blog yesterday. Like we have this impeccable work ethic. I feel like millennials, like we know how to freaking work. Like we really do, you know? Most of us have, I think, like Jupiter in Virgo placement, which is like very like, we expand and we receive abundance through like perfectionism, validation, putting in the work, showing up for everybody. But it's like at what cost? Eventually you're gonna come to the realization that like I'm not even creating a life for myself. This doesn't feel good. I don't even know who I am. I've just been in this identity because this is what I'm used to, or this is the career that I got, or the degree that I got. This is my life path, right? I've been working on this since so and so age. And then for some people, it's like, oh shit, like I'm 40. How do I get out of this now? How do I pivot? Is that even realistic for me to do? And then add on the pressures of capitalism, economy, all of that, cost of living. So then you feel like you need to stay in this job or this lifestyle because you need to survive and pay for this lifestyle, which I think stability is really important. As a Taurus moon, like stability is very important, but I think it's like you could have all this money, but like if there's nothing in the house, you have no furniture. Like I just think of it as that metaphor. You have a
Mhm.
nice house, there's nothing in the house. So that's where we are. And I think we have just a lot of work to do as a society. Like so
Yeah.
much work to do, so much healing. Also, so much like discovering, like self-discovery, I think is really important to like figuring out, especially as women, like what do we actually like? What makes us feel good, relationships included. Like, are you still holding on to that friendship because this person has been your friend for 10 years? Are you holding on to this relationship because it's serving one of your needs, which could be stability, which could be maybe it is emotional, but you're not getting other needs met as well? I think it's a time for us to be selfish, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you are a woman of color or someone who has like been through the ringer and you're like moving towards this time of like, what the hell is all this shit? Like, why am I being put through all these trials? It's because you also chose to be a leader in this time. And like, this revolution is being led by women of color for a reason. That's why we see our voices being heard and magnified on a level that hasn't been done before. And it's being led by us. Like, this is our time. And it's really our time to really hold that narrative of being both the woman that has been persecuted and also a person of color who's been persecuted, and really like alchemizing that with our ancestors, with our spirit guides, like bringing home like human spirituality to really create this next vision of reality.
Mm-hmm. Girl, thank you for that reminder because I think a lot of people forget that, especially if you're not in tune spiritually and you don't know like why we're here, why your soul is here, that you've kind of chosen, I have to remind myself that often, like, damn, I really chose this time.
Yeah.
Like, like, fuck.
Because you're supposed to be a leader.
Yeah, but we're doing it, we have so much time on this earth still, hopefully, and all we can do is just take it day by day, do what we can, show up as our best selves to ourselves, not best meaning to show up for others and do our best for others to like us or accept us, but for us to like and accept and love and accept ourselves. So, yeah, ladies, I hope that this conversation really helped somebody today. I hope that you're feeling a little bit better. I hope that you are ready to just pour into yourself more. It's summertime, it's cancer season if you're listening to this in July. And Valerrie, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing your insight, your wisdom, your knowledge, your energy. Can you please tell the people where they can find you on social media?
Yes, so I am on Instagram at Valerrie Joann as well as TikTok, 2 R's and Valerrie, 2N and Joanne. I'm also going to be launching my podcast soon, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast as well. And that's going to be called The Goddess Lineage. And yeah, if you want to connect with your divine feminine energy, awaken your goddess energy, just feel radiant, powerful, and confident in your own body without feeling like you need to earn it or prove it or deserve it, then please let me know and we can work together as well. And yeah, just thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun and I love this conversation. And yeah, just thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Thank you for coming on. Oh, I'm about to like knock over my whole table. Thank you so much. We'll link everything in the show notes, all the links to your. I have to follow you on TikTok as well. I'm trying to be more active on there, but yeah, we'll link everything in the show notes. You guys can go check out Valerrie and follow her for, some insight, some motivation. And if you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple, feel free to leave us a rating and review. That really helps us out. We are looking to expand and grow this year. So also share this episode with a friend who might need it. Maybe someone who's like in a funk, they're feeling stuck, they're feeling burnt out, they're in their masculine. Share this episode with them. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, let us know your favorite part of this conversation, and we'll see you in another episode. Bye.